Hi, everyone, and welcome to our next session in Psychology 130. I'm going to focus on the chapter on getting acquainted with ourselves and others, and I'm going to tell you some information about what to do in your portfolio. So our first chapter focuses on the advantages of high quality self-disclosure, what to do if you're lonely, what is mutual reward theory, and something that I don't find in the text, but I think this is just a good thing to know about, that Gottman says that we need to have a 5-to-1 ratio of good to bad experiences. So for every 5 good experiences, we can kind of tolerate 1 bad experience in a relationship. But if it's any worse than 5-to-1, like 6, 7, 8-to-1, there's going to be a significant problem in the relationship. We're going to talk about how we perceive ourselves, and can we change our image in the minds of others? And then in developing new relationships, we're going to talk about attribution error, which is basically incorrect assumptions that we make about other people. Okay, so the portfolio entries for this chapter include getting acquainted interview. We're going to do that in class on February 4th when we convene, and this involves you coming up with 10 questions that you would like to be asked, that you think would represent the most important information for you to self-disclose to a stranger in our class for them to know you better. So what happens is you form partners and exchange questions, and you're asked the questions that you created, and they're asked the questions they created. For your entry in the portfolio, you just type up your own questions and your own answers. You do not have to worry about taking notes on your partner's answers. Okay, the second one, who am I presentation, and I'll talk about this more in later slides, is an opportunity for you to create a little bit of a presentation on who you really are. So you would show it in class in your small group, which I'm going to refer to as your success team of about 6 people. We also have first impressions. We'll be doing that in class, and that's an interesting exercise where you pick a person you've never talked to, and then you start to make assumptions about them. What is the first impression they make on you without even talking to you? Likewise for yourself, your partner will be making guesses about you just based on your appearance. The fourth exercise talks about where your emotional and social ties come from, and you can do that one at home. And then which doesn't show on the screen here very well, let me see if I can adjust this. The last one is your learning journal, and you complete all 6 prompts with at least 4 sentences per prompt, and you can do that at home, and I'll talk about that more later. Now for your portfolios. The only 2 things that you do in our class are take quizzes on the chapters in class with your clickers and answer the questions to the exercises I assign at the end of your chapter. I don't assign all of the exercises, so please pay attention to your grade sheet, which for Portfolio 1 is the 3rd to last page in your syllabus. And that shows you exactly which exercises to do and how many points you get for each one. So I made a template for this. So a template is a Word document with all of the exercises listed, and all you have to do is type into the spaces for your answers. So if you use the template, you can be assured that you're answering all of the questions in the exercise, that you're putting in a quote from the textbook, and you're commenting on that quote. And you get points for each of these 3 things. Okay, so it has all the exercises, a place to insert what I'm about to talk about, which is your highlight text quote, and your comments. If you complete the template while giving thoughtful answers, you will definitely earn an A. Okay, so how this works is there are 5 chapters per portfolio, 2 portfolios. Chapters 1 through 5 are in portfolio 1. Chapters 6 through 10 are in portfolio 2. And the grade guides for these are in your syllabus on pages 12 and 13. So, looking at point number 1, you complete each chapter in the template and upload it to the, it should say Canvas assignment box on the due date. So in Canvas, you look on the left of our homepage and it says assignments. You click on assignments, that takes you to the assignment page. You'll see where it says chapter 1 due on February 6th. You click on that, you click in the box where it says upload a file, and you upload just your questions from chapter 1. Then when it comes time for portfolio 1 to be due, you copy all 5 of your chapters out of the template and make that a document and upload that. In order to be able to upload all your portfolio, you need to have submitted all 5 chapters in Canvas. So I mentioned this, and I mentioned this, so we're good to go. So here's one of your portfolio requirements, and I call it highlighted text materials. So to read to you, for each portfolio entry, you will include one highlighted text answer. This is built into your portfolio template, and you can see examples in your syllabus also. For example, if you're writing about impression management, you can say, where it says cite and highlight in yellow a section of text here, quote, impression management is thinking about how you come across to others and making changes to present yourself clearly and honestly. Then you give careful thought to the citation and relate it to your life in a full paragraph or more. That looks like this. You might say, well, I agree with this, but it's hard for me because I feel shy when I meet other people, and I spend too much time thinking about what they might be thinking about me instead of focusing on what they are saying and get to know them. So now let's go back. You have put a part of the text that you felt was important related to the impression management exercise, and then you have commented on what you think about that. You do that once for each exercise. Okay, so I've mentioned on exercise 1, you're going to create 10 questions. We're going to use them in class on February 4th. Now, try to ask questions that are customized to who you are. For example, since I am an athlete, I would put on there, what kind of sports do you do? And then the person asks me, what kinds of sports do I do? And I would tell them that I am an avid tennis player. I've been playing tennis since I was 5 years old. I grew up across the street from Grace Ada Park on Sycamore, and I grew up directly across from the line of 4 tennis courts. It was inevitable that I would get over there and play tennis. Played tennis all the time in elementary school, junior high, high school, and when it came time for college, I played on the Modesto Junior College women's tennis team. I also continue to play now all the time with my husband. I don't care too much for games and points. What I really love is a really good rally where we just rip that ball back and forth as many times as we can without making an error. My other sports are downhill skiing. I skied 28 days last year, and I also absolutely love table tennis. So I have a table in my garage, and I love to do the exact same thing with my husband. Rip the ball back and forth as many times as we can without making a mistake. So you can see that question is customized to a couple things that I'm really passionate about in my life. So I want you guys to customize those questions. Of course, one of them can be, what's your major? What's your career goal? Because that tells us a lot about you. But if you are into anime, or you're into science fiction, or Comic-Con, or anything, then you should put what kinds of interests do you have, or what are you passionate about? So you see, you can customize the questions. Okay, This Who Am I exercise is completely described in your text, and you're welcome to do it in a variety of ways. You can make a presentation by pasting or gluing fragments of type, pictures, words torn out of magazines, newspapers, whatever you'd like to do to form kind of a picture of who you are. You could also do it on the computer. You could make a PowerPoint or any other creative approach. Just make sure that it's just represents you. If you're not into being creative at all, at least answer these questions. 3 people that are most influential in your life and what kind of culture impacts your life. Hobbies and interests, 3 words that you would like to have said about you. I'm going over this because you may not all have your book yet, and I want you to think about this and get started. You discuss the part of your personality which you are very proud of, and the part of your personality that sometimes gives you challenges in relationship with others. Discuss an accomplishment that makes you proud, your likes and dislikes, the goals and values you have for your life, your background, family and friends, the greatest lesson you've learned in life, and as I said, you'll be sharing your presentation with your success team only. Okay, the third exercise, first impressions, and I pretty much discussed how you do this. It'll be in class. You'll use the page from your text that prompts you to think about, well, what political party might this person be? What might their major be? What kinds of attitudes might they have about various things? How would you describe their personality? The exercise is to help you see how you judge a book by its cover. And we can't help but do this, but this makes you more aware of it and shows you that maybe your attributions about this person might not be quite right. So this is an answer from a student portfolio. This exercise made me aware that I make swift judgments about other people based on first impressions. I often use information such as how a person is dressed, physical attributes, and initial behaviors, basically to form my perception. Although when I did this exercise, my first impression turned out to be pretty accurate, it did not turn up enough information to determine whether or not this person and I would still get along or even be friends, say 6 months from now. Okay, this student went on to talk about this in great detail. Here's some more detail. Here's this student's quote from the text, and here's this student's comment on that quote. And that's what I'm looking for you to do. Now, I picked this one because it's extremely thorough, and I don't expect you to be this thorough on every question, but I expect you to write at least 4 sentences for every answer you give. And I think this is the, oh, nope, that's the final section of this student's work, and I wrote, this is the most thorough answer I have ever read. Okay, let's look at a quote from your book from Paul Tournier. No one can develop freely in this world and find a full life without feeling understood by at least one person. So that's our goal in learning how to do really meaningful self-disclosure, is we help a person know who we are and therefore they can understand us. Okay, now a comment on the quizzes. Weekly quizzes take place throughout the lectures and near the end of lectures on each chapter. Please read the chapter before the week it is assigned so you're prepared for a quiz. And you can see the quiz dates on our schedule in your syllabus on pages 12 and 13. The first quiz, which you can't see very well here because there's stuff in the way, is on February 6th. That's the Thursday that we convene in class. And your first exercises for Chapter 1 are due on February 6th also. Okay, it's been great sharing this session with you, and I look forward to the next one.